While Bryce White by light, by night Bryce White takes flight with the might of right to fight for our plight. The White Knight!
What up, y'all? It is directed to the ladies, and this one's about like white knights. And ladies, I want you to stop praising white knights online. Two events brought this about, and I'm going to tell you why later on. This is important that you stop praising these white knights. The first event was this young kid was having a public domestic dispute with his girl. They got into an argument or somehow. I don't know. Maybe there was a scuffle. You couldn't really tell because the video was dark. It was nighttime. This guy shows up in his truck. He starts giving the kid a hard time, offering to take the girl somewhere. Oh, do you need a ride somewhere? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, acting like tough guy to the kid. He's not really an older kid. Probably like, late teens. He couldn't have been over like 21. Really couldn't have been, Anyway, at the end of the video, the girl leaves with the guy that she came with, the guy she's arguing with, which says a lot on its own anyway. And the second event, which brought this about, there's a 27-year-old guy. He white knights for some waitress somewhere. He's a father. Knocks a guy out. The next day, those guys come back and they kill him dead. They shoot him they say the torso, and he died. What bothered me the most was the comment section, where women were talking about, oh, a real man. Oh, it's nice to see a real man standing up for women, blah, blah, blah. Toxic masculinity, yada, yada. But what you fail to understand is that white knighting and the aggression that men are displaying, it's the same thing. It comes from the same place. What you fail to see, because gynocentrism has made you goofy, is that these behaviors are exactly the same. It's male aggression. It's just like my video when I was talking about quality women, not quality women. There's just women. There's just male aggression. It's not toxic. It's not favorable. The only difference that's being made here is by you women praising one type of aggression when it serves you, and then, berating other types of masculine aggression when it doesn't serve you. And that's what you call toxic masculinity. And at the end of the day, it's all toxic. It's exceptionally toxic when guys white knight, because it takes an individual, especially in the second case, in the second story I'm talking about, this 27-year-old guy, probably has his whole life ahead of him and whatnot, a father, he's actually in an intact family, and he white knighted for an absolute stranger, and he's dead. And now, who's going to take care of his family? Who's going to white knight for them when they need him? Who's going to be there? Women, stop praising this behavior. It is toxic. And what it's doing is it's getting these guys crazy ideas in their heads that somehow that reward that you give them, that nice feeling that you give them online, is going to translate into offline rewards. They're only doing it because they think they're going to get something out of it. You need to stop praising it, because it's getting people killed. And one day, it's going to be your man. One day, your man, looking at your comments online, is going to be like, oh, Cape Crusader, bang, he's dead. Now what? Stop praising white knights. Dudes are sick of them. I'm sick of them. I wish them harm. I don't know this guy, and it sounds crazy. Although he's dead, I don't wish him harm, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, he got what was coming to him. He completely deserved it. Mind your business. Stay in your lane. Why did he have to die and leave his children without protection for a random stranger who's going about their life, doesn't give a damn about him? I bet you that woman didn't even show up to his funeral. I'll bet you money, if I do research and I was to contact his family, that woman didn't even show up to his funeral. I'll bet you money on it. White knighting is toxic. There's no good and no benefit that comes from it. It takes two people, generally, they're white knighting against people who are in relationships, in a domestic dispute, and it brings an outsider in. And those two people who care for each other but have a dysfunctional relationship or dysfunctional aspects of their relationship, which they can't control in public, they end up being a team against that guy. Not all the time, but more times than not, you'll find that the woman who has been white knighted for will go back to the guy that she's been having trouble with. You got to stop you got to stop praising these guys online and giving them crazy ideas that this is somehow acceptable behavior, because one day it's going to be someone in your family, and it's just not a good thing. To the guys who've gotten this far, it's okay to white knight for your women folk. You got your daughters, your aunts, your mother, your sister, whatever else. Those are the people you're supposed to white knight for, and that's given that they're in the right. Now, I'm not saying that if they're wrong, you let them get beat up or smacked around or whatever else. That's not what I'm saying. But generally, if you have the frame in your family, or the men folk have the frame in your family, the women folk in your family understand that they do not put you in a position to where you might have to harm someone and end up in jail, or you might get harmed by someone and end up in a grave or in a jail. Either way, it's not good. Dudes, you have to start teaching your women folk in your family that this stuff is not praiseworthy. Stop praising that online. Stop trying to get guys into fights. I actually saw a woman, online. It was a Muslim woman. She said, I can't have a weak guy because my mouth gets me in trouble and I need him to bail me out. She's literally admitted that she's trying to get her man killed. You got to train your women folk to stay out of trouble. And that if you cause trouble, be ready to face the consequences on your own. Doesn't mean you got to leave them out into the, hang in the dry, because we don't do that to homies. You know what I mean? It's like, you say, hey, I'm sorry, my homie's, he's a real jerk, but I can't let you smash him up around like this. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to stand our ground here. It's the same thing with your woman folk. You got to get her to understand, like, look, you're wrong. I'm not going to leave you hanging. But at the same time, you can't be out here causing a whole bunch of trouble and getting me in trouble. And if you do, then we got to go our separate ways. Just like with homies. Because your homies will get you killed. Some of your homies. I had this homie back in the day, Sudanese cat. And he used to always get us in trouble. We'd be out having a good time partying. This was like just after high school. And we were just like this little short time between everything before you really try and get life going. And he used to always cause trouble, man. We go somewhere, we're having a good time, dancing, talking to girls, whatever else. This is before I was Muslim. And this guy would go and start fights. And he'd come running to us. Hey, this guy said blah, 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 blah. And the first few times we was like, oh, okay, dang, let's get him, Because we was like ride or die homies like that. But then after a while, it's like, this dude, when you stopped and watched, like, why is this cat always in trouble? You can't have people like that in your life, be it a woman or not. I don't care how good she looks, guys. You can't have that. You can't tolerate that in your life because these people are dysfunctional, they're dangerous, and they're going to drag that dysfunctionality and danger into your life. You got to leave women like that, guys. You got to leave them alone. That's to the guys who've gotten this far. Or you got to train her to where she's like, she understands that, like, there's acceptable behaviors and there's unacceptable behaviors. There's times when you're going to stand your ground and times when you don't. They're capable of more than just emotion and reaction. They are capable of critical thought. They are human beings at the end of the day. It's just easier for them to react emotionally, than it is to actually stop and think. So, yeah, I'm sort of just rambling at this point. I think I made my point. White knighting is toxic masculinity in its highest form. And women, you need to stop encouraging this behavior online by praising guys. Oh, there's a real man. It's not a real man. He's just a real troublemaker looking to cause trouble with somebody else or end up bringing trouble upon himself. No matter how it flips out, it's trouble for everybody involved. To the white knights out there who you think this is like, acceptable behavior and, whatever else. Yeah, it's acceptable behavior with context. Context in that you white knight for your women folk only. Whatever happens to you, man. I used to wish you guys harm. I don't wish you harm anymore. Yeah, it's a really sad story to read that story about that guy who died. I think he deserved it 100%. I don't have any sympathy in my heart for him, for his family. His father was on there, 58 years old, talking about his son. Oh, he's a great guy, wanted to help everybody, this, that, the other. And, and I don't feel sympathy for him either because he didn't train his son right. He didn't teach his son properly. that there's context to every situation and everything. And now his son is gone because he was a fool in raising his boy. I don't wish you harm, but whatever happens to you, happens to you.
He dies. He dies.
See you, man, Abuamerican. Catch me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all at Abuamerican. I'm out.